And I think we're live.
We are.
We are live. Welcome to the UTB Blogcast. Is that what we're calling it?
Apparently.
Apparently. First try. Take it easy on us. We don't know what we're doing. I'm Brad. We've got Ray. Say something, Ray.
What's going on?
We've got Josh, the Squircle guy,
That's me.
and somebody we never thought we'd see on UTB. Good old Chris Simonson.
Yeah, I approved laugh for you guys, so I gotta be on here, right?
Let's see. Quick history lesson. When we started out, I guess we started out as the I Choose Blackberry 10 group, and that was Josh and me and Chris and Lily Fox and Punch. Who all am I missing? Phoenix.
People. Too many.
Yeah, there were a ton. And we did our, what was that called? The Thunderclap?
Yep.
And before that even came out, Chris was on a bright yellow Nokia.
I was fed up.
Who started that? Was that Chris who started that thunderclap thing?
It was.
It was.
Yeah, I got the idea off the forums from a member, and I gave him props for the idea and started up the one for the I Choose Blackberry 10 Thunderclap.
And bought a Nokia at the same time.
Yeah, I got the Lumia. Well, I had the 920 first, and then I went to the 1020 when my 920 shattered. The only phone that has ever broken on me.
So don't buy
That was
Nokia,
fine.
that's what you're saying?
That was a sign for you, I think.
It was a sign, but it wasn't really the Nokia's fault. Someone was drunk and hit my phone out of my hand, so when it lands on concrete from like 10 feet in the air, it's gonna break. I don't care who you are.
So from the Nokia, you went, was it iPhone or Android?
Nokia, I went to iPhone 5, which ended up not working out because it couldn't get unlocked for me. So I went to a Moto X to go. Oh, where did I go from the Moto X? It's crazy. It went from a Moto X back to another Android. I think it was it was an HTC One M8. Then I went to a Moto G because I got screwed on a phone deal with a bad S5. And then after the Moto G, I went to Z30 actually. I was on a Z30 for a couple months. And then I went to a LG G2. And then I went from that to an iPhone 6 Plus. And now I'm on the BlackBerry Passport. Too many phones.
You know, I think that caught a lot of people a little off guard when you first picked up that Nokia. I know me, I was one of them, but you remember that first, I think it was the first 10.2 leak where you did that YouTube video. I think it was when post notifications first were introduced.
Yeah.
And you did that video, and you were so pumped about that. Like, you got your first toast notification in the video, and you're like, holy shit, this is amazing.
Yeah, I totally was, and that's the funny thing, too, is that everything about BlackBerry still excited me. Even when I was jumping phone to phone to phone, I was still reading up on Crackberry and all the other sites to keep up on the news, and it's just like, this is getting exciting again, so I'm trying to find myself a passport, and lo and behold, I had a nice trading object in the 6 Plus, so I ended up with a passport.
So you traded straight across?
Yeah, I know it's probably I could have got money out of it with the from the guy on the passport end, but it is a red shiny one, so I wasn't gonna put up a fight.
Very nice.
So comparing it to your iPhone?
I like the build quality way better, that's for damn sure. Same size, it feels like to me, width almost. Maybe a little bit wider. Nice to be back on a keyboard. Virtual ones drove me nuts. I mean, obviously there's things between iOS and Android that favor them over BlackBerry. They've just been around longer versus BlackBerry 10, but overall, you just can't go wrong.
Until next week when you're on
Yeah.
Shellfish or whatever.
No. I'm starting a small little side business venture, so I figure I'll get a device running. I'm working on setting up my own BS cloud and stuff like that, so gonna go all in, balls to the wall.
Well, speaking of which, like there's that endless debate, right, of productivity, iPhone versus BlackBerry, or it's an endless debate. Email
Right.
this, email that, and then you've got both sides saying, well, iPhone can do the exact same thing. Since you're fresh out of the iPhone into the Passport, starting a business, which obviously productivity is important, what's your feeling on it?
The iPhone was definitely a great tool. It definitely helps that there's a lot of connected accessories built for it. For example, the Square card reader. I use that to take credit card payments and stuff like that,
Right.
and it worked flawlessly there. It never worked on 10.2 or the original 10.3 leaks when I was using it through the Android emulator. I actually just loaded it up on the 10.3.2 official from the BlackBerry when they sent it out. I think it's 780 or something like that, or 6 something.
Yeah.
Um, it seemed to have recognized my test card when I put it through. It's one of those Visa debits, so it doesn't exactly like it, but it says please use a valid Visa card. So it read the number, so it seems to be working. So I'll have to give it a test run when I actually have to put it through its paces. Otherwise, I'll have to hook up my iPad. But either way, it's not too bad there. Email wise, definitely BlackBerry will be nicer, especially with the keyboard. I'm a lot faster with it. Um, but iOS managed to do pretty good just in the default mail app. I could throw my Outlook and my Gmail in there along with my iCloud, and I managed it pretty well. Definitely some glitches there. It's not a full-fledged productivity email-wise phone, but it's there.
You don't need to send attachments, I take it.
You can send attachments. Yeah, oh yeah. You can send attachments through the mail app. Uh, it's quite easy. I actually saw that blog post of your guys. I was like, what? I'm pretty sure I can send attachments, so I had to go and test it. And yeah, you can send attachments through iOS still. Some are a little more difficult than others, but you can definitely send attachments. You can open attachments. There's no problem with attachments on the mail app actually.
Do they forward right directly from an email that you get and you just want to immediately forward to somebody else? Does it automatically send that attachment with it, or do you have to go through some steps to do that?
I honestly wouldn't know because I've never actually had a test opportunity for that. I've never had to forward off an attachment email.
I do that all the time. I open them, and I look at them, and then if I agree with it, then I forward it to the next person. So I do that a lot.
Yeah, the one thing I like that you can do in BlackBerry that I don't think you can do with iOS. I do the same thing sometimes, but sometimes I don't want to forward the email itself. I just want to send the attachment on. So you can just share the attachment directly from in the email into a new email, right?
Yeah.
And I guess that's the thing. It's about file management, and that's where BlackBerry's
BlackBerry will kill any platform any day for file management.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of disappointing on file management because I got a USB OTG to try and hook up my 1 terabyte drive, and it didn't like it.
They want you to get iCloud space, that's why.
Yeah. I'm talking about the Passport though.
Oh, the Passport.
Yeah, Passport wouldn't recognize 1 terabyte.
Really?
Yeah. It says that it couldn't open it and it didn't like it, so it only showed I think 163 megabytes, and even after I tried reformatting the drive on the PC and reattaching her and stuff like that, she just wouldn't want to boot. So
I wonder if there's like a capped limit or something.
I think 32. I did some Google searching on it, and it seems people have issues with 64 and more, even with small flash drives and thumb drives at 64 gigs and more. The OTG seems to have a problem. Interesting.
We need Dave here. Dave will be here shortly. He's got it all set up with his hub and uses his Passport as a workstation.
Nice.
I use a 4 gig USB drive on mine.
Yeah, I got an 8 gig one that I use, and it works nicely.
Yeah, I haven't tried anything larger than that.
Yeah. No, I think it's just from a quick Google search, and I found it on YouTube that someone was testing different things. He did 16 to 32, and then a 64, and the 64 pretty much shot him an error saying you have to go to your settings, device manager, and stuff like that, and there's no setting to play around with that. So.
Good to know.
When did you get your Passport, Chris?
I got it on Sunday, actually. I brought my BlackBerry Leaf Buddy with me, and we went for an hour drive. And the guy who had the passport did an hour drive south of Ottawa, and we met up in a little town and did the trade there, and it was pretty awesome.
And already started your first BBM channel.
Yeah, well, not really my first, but just random crap. I don't know. I just wanted something to be able to repost other people's shit.
That's the one thing with channels that I wish they would like put more emphasis on is, you know, because a lot of them are becoming just people reposting other people's stuff, right? You know, there's not, the uniqueness is kind of starting to fade a little bit. They need to maybe pump some resources into there. I think they haven't really done much with it for a while.
It's like I was just talking to Brad about this too. He said it's like if it was on iOS first, it could be the next Instagram. But I likened it more to Tumblr, especially in the sense that when you repost things, that's all Tumblr is. It's between GIF exchanges and people reposting stuff. That's all Tumblr is. So
yeah.
Well, I mean, if iOS would have got it first, it would have just been a lot of pictures of Starbucks coffee.
That's true. I mean, I remember actually the original Instagram on iOS. I was actually there when Instagram was still a small app, and I downloaded it and I played with it on iOS back when it was on the iPhone 4, and I'm like, whatever, I don't care about it. And then within like 3 weeks, it had blown up, and it's just like, why is this blowing up now? Like, and here it is to stay too. Instagram is crazy.
I can't stand Instagram. I can't stand it. I've got an account out there floating somewhere. I think there's a picture of my dog on it. I had to get it because I had to get iGran. I had to get, what's the other one that Nimmery did?
Yeah, Instant
10 or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I got them. I can't stand it. I don't understand the purpose of it. I really don't. I love Twitter. I love BBMC.
It's a way for Facebook people to eliminate the news posts in between their photo sharing. That's how I take it.
Hey, Dave's here.
Uncle Dave's here, just for your entertainment pleasure. How's it going, gentlemen?
Good.
Right on. Mr. Simonson, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
Excellent, sir. So what have you guys been yakking about?
Anything
Actually,
and everything.
You kind of jumped in at the right time because there was some USB on the go stuff that came up.
Yes.
So you might have tested this.
This? I tested a bunch of things. One of my goals has been, like a vision of my future, has been walking into my office or my home office or wherever I need to work, and to be able to pull my mobile device out of my pocket and plunk it down, hopefully in a some kind of a pod, and which would have maybe HDMI and USB OTG, and be able to run any of my office programs from that. And right now, that's I'm fairly successful doing that, using RDP into our systems at the office, and running a CRM through that interface, using whatever, a Bluetooth or a USB keyboard and mouse. And it's been quite successful, although I think there's some improvement that needs to be made in RDP sessions for especially mouse emulation. That's hopefully that'll get improved soon. And then also for people who have, especially Z30s or something, that it'd be really nice to be able to turn that phone on the side and have the entire OS in landscape mode. That would be absolutely killer. So right now, people on the Z30s, they can get an incredible amount done just with that phone. But when you have it hooked up to the big screen, you're just seeing sort of, a third of the screen is your device. And when you want to deal with a a decent sized spreadsheet or a document, then the phone on the side makes it perfect with a Z30. But again, when you're just looking at the OS, it's sideways. So that to me would be an outrageous bonus to have the OS in landscape.
And that's actually funny that you speak of the OS in landscape, because the iPhone 6 Plus, because it's a 5.5-inch 1080, Apple enabled it as the only device, other than its iPads and stuff like that, to be able to do landscape. And I actually have an Apple TV that I use for my music and movies and stuff, and I decided to try AirPlay one day, and it was actually pretty nice to be able to see, instead of a vertical bar and my 50-inch TV being all black on the sides, turning my iPhone on the side, and there you go, the whole thing was there. It was pretty impressive. So yeah, for a Z30 to be able to do that, that would be beyond awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think? 10.4?
Maybe .1. We'll probably skip the zeros if we're lucky.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a hopeful. For the rest of the OTG environment, it seems to be pretty nice for just picking up almost any USB peripheral I've plugged into it has been flawless. I'm a bit of a music junkie, as some people know, and one of the things that's missing for me is USB audio input. So looking forward to that too, and I do believe the OS is or at least has that capability on the roadmap.
Now that brings up the other question, is what we were talking about mainly, is hard drive size, because I know I just bought a OTG cable for my passport, and it wouldn't recognize my 1 terabyte. I've done searching, and it doesn't look like anything above 64 gigs will be recognized by the OS. Have you found anything like that there?
I've heard 128 is happening, and I thought I read somewhere, and maybe this is not accurate, but I thought I heard that the OS was capable of 2 terabytes. So
see, I think that may be it in the sense of micro SD storage, but I don't know about OTG storage, because you also have to think about the power requirements of a drive, right? So to power that drive plus read 2 terabytes, it could be an issue.
yeah,
well, that's exactly what Dave did in his video, where he was talking about if he had a powered hub that he was plugging it into.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that takes that issue out of the story, and then all you have to worry about is what the file system is capable of. And I thought we could use. I don't have one. I have a 64 gig micro SD, but I do believe that there are people running 128s. I thought I read the OS was capable of 2 terabytes, and so perhaps that's a future.
It'd be something interesting to see. Paying an extra cost of a phone for a 2 terabyte SD card.
Yeah, considering 128 is still, a lofty expense.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So, Chris, I heard through the grapevine you got a passport not too long ago. What do you think about that puppy?
She is nice. Got her on Sunday. Adjusted to the keyboard pretty much within a day. So.
Yeah.
Traded the iPhone 6 Plus for it.
Oh, you swapped it?
Yeah, I'm a big phone swapper, if you haven't heard.
It's got a bit of an addiction.
Yeah, I noticed.
Next week we'll be fighting him in comments over at Android Central again.
Yeah.
Probably. I'm sure I'll make a comment there or something. No, I still like to keep up on everything. I still read iMore, Android Central, Windows Central. I keep up on all the latest and greatest, whether it's Windows 10 mobile, iOS 9, Android 5.1.
I think we all do, Chris, but some of us don't admit it.
Yeah, it's just it though. It's you can learn so much from those platforms, and then you can really compare. And I think that's where I'm gonna bring him up now. But Kevin McCulloch there, Crackberry Kevin, and a lot of people started getting their hate on for him when he did pretty much what I did and started jumping platform to platform to platform. But I mean, unlike it being part of his job, it's also something that if you don't know how the other OSs work purely out of just speculation instead of use, then you're throwing shots out there and you can make yourself look like a fool if you throw out the wrong shot.
Yeah, that's a fair comment. Yeah, absolutely. Experience and education rules.
Definitely does.
Now, speaking of Android Central, I know 10.4 was just mentioned. The
Here it
big
comes.
elephant in the room today that I'm sure we've all seen is who initially posted their exclusive or whatever. Like that word gets thrown around every day, but
I
Well,
think it was Reuters.
Reuters, yes, claiming they had 4 sources, internal sources, saying BlackBerry's going full Android with their next device.
the
With
Now,
funny thing
any
about that is that Mecca
device.
posted in the last leak thread too that he had info saying that Android was going on there. So
yeah, I saw that.
yeah, that was
My,
interesting.
yeah, I mean, I'll believe it when I see it. I guess I don't want to speculate, but my thing is when I heard that, and it's been kind of mentioned over the last couple of months, is Chen seems like a fairly smart guy. I mean, obviously, you don't get to where he is by not being a smart
Yeah,
business
I'm
person.
going to suggest he's slightly smarter than I am anyway.
Yeah, so when you look around the Android world, I mean, there's so many manufacturers that are just barely getting by, and quality handsets like HTC. I mean, HTC makes some quality devices, and
Even
for
Sony.
some reason they just
True, Ray.
there's no uptake there. So what is going to be different besides the hardware, I guess? And HTC has some great hardware, but what would be different in the Android world if BlackBerry had Android on there? Like, what makes them think they could somehow push this better than all these other OEMs who have been trying to for years?
Well,
Beyond
There was
Samsung, there's
funding.
not really a lot of success there.
from my opinion, Ray, well, and the proof's in the pudding whether it's actually reality that we're going to see or whether it's just smoke. I don't know, but as you know, a couple months ago at least, I forget how long ago, I guess, BlackBerry came out with the idea that QNX would have a hypervisor, and it actually does today. and I did a little blog piece on that, and the idea was that the QNX platform would become a hypervisor, and then the first two, I think the first two operating systems that they would support as a guest were going to be Android, and then Linux. I don't know if it would be simultaneous or one and then the other. But they also opened the door to the idea that other guest operating systems would come on board as soon as they were vetted. So what does that mean? That means that we could see, the Passport and/or better, more capable sort of, muscular devices being capable of running guest operating systems, and it is perhaps that Android might be the first one. I don't know. It seemed when they first announced it that it was going to be in vertical markets, maybe for in health or whatever. Not sure. They didn't say. But QNX, being as skinny as it is and as capable as it is, being a hypervisor, as long as you got enough RAM and enough space, you can run any other operating system you want. So we might end up with dual boot devices, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, and for anyone watching that, in layman's term, that basically means QNX would be the microkernel, and you'd have Android on top of it, and it'd be security shit.
Right, and you might choose to boot into BB10 and and push the app that says Android on it, and be running that as a guest OS, and you might choose to boot into Android and see a BB10 icon and choose to run that as a guest OS. That's the way this stuff works.
Why are you such a
Yeah,
bitch?
so, but in a sense, so you're thinking more like a workspace type thing where you can just flip back and forth simultaneously between the OSs, and you'd have full fledges thanks to the QNX microkernel.
Well, that to me would be the way I would head, but I'm not Chen, and I'm not one of their engineers. It's just that they completely stated outright that that's what they were going to do.
Which
and I don't know whether it's it was originally intended as an enterprise play, a vertical market play, or whether they thought about that and now maybe it ought to be a consumer play. Don't know.
That's what I heard too from some people that are.
my only question there is how would that work with the not so open handset alliance there?
It wouldn't.
That's the thing, right? So unless there's some new deal on the table that we don't know about, which could very.
Chin's been hinting that something is coming.
He has, Brad. Good that you brought that up. He totally did. He was basically baiting us because he was insinuating that he had a surprise coming. You know, it was like watch this space.
Let's look at the new phone that's coming out. Is it the Dallas? Is it the Oslo? Is there two of them running two different OSs?
You mean the Chinese passport?
Yeah, that one.
Hey, tell me you wouldn't take it. I'd want one.
No, I like this little design.
I didn't say I'd get rid of it, but
I prefer this design too myself.
Ray's a bit of a square, and Brad's got he's a rounded person, so.
I'm round. Good old AT&T round right there.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
But anyways, back to Chris. You used to have some pretty good insider info. I don't know if you still do. You probably do. What have you heard about this whole Android ordeal? And
Actually, I got caught pretty much off guard as most of the people there. I knew about the possibility, but for 4 different sources to come out about it and speak to rooters anonymously, that I don't know, that rings a bell to me that it could be someone playing off news that they heard somewhere else and being anonymous and tipping someone just to make news happen.
When would that ever happen?
yeah.
But here's the thing: if you ever listen to any story where rumors come up, it's usually 1 or 2 sources. But for 4 sources to come out and just straight up be like, "Hey, yeah, this is gonna happen," that rings a bell, does it not? Like, why?
Yeah, it's not common, but
You mean it's more substance because it's been heard in multiple places, or?
But that's what I'm getting at, right? Like I was saying earlier, like Mecca had dropped in the forums during that leak thread that, yeah, hey, I heard that this is the possibility. So if someone reads that on Crackbreaks, it's open. They're like, and it's literally like the next day that this thing goes viral on Rudos, like the day after he posts that in Crackberry. Like I don't know, I find it a little bit of inconvenience in the realm of rumors.
Maybe he's one of the sources.
Could be. I mean,
But I think,
personally,
aside
if
from
they
Bunyan,
could do
I
it,
think we're talking about the
They don't call
Android
it
running on
BlackBerry
BlackBerry
for
BlackBerry,
nothing.
right?
Hey, Robert.
Yeah, sorry for being late. Trying to do shit while my wife was trying to fix the lighting outside. It was like kind of hard.
And why don't you fix your microphone while you're at it?
Oh, don't start with that shit again, man.
First thing I
we love you, man.
Robert's mouth on this thing.
give him a break. It's Puerto Rican Wi-Fi.
That's
Yeah.
Not him.
He lives in paradise and he can't speak properly.
Yeah. Canada rocks for high speed, man.
So I take it you're talking about the Android running on BlackBerry, right?
Yeah, what's your take, Robert?
This is actually the 3rd time. And actually, 2 of the people who have told me, they've actually seen it physically, you know. We've discussed this in the past, and I mean, I don't see it being a bad move, because I mean, you have to face facts. I mean, everything's running either Android or iOS. I mean, Chad wants to get a piece of the action. I mean, it's not a bad idea. I don't see BlackBerry would be moving away from BB10, but I mean, if they can get part of the market, it'd actually be pretty good.
And so do you see it as being the native one and only operating system on there, or do you think that it might be a dual boot situation?
I just, not dual boot or not just native, but is like an additional option for people. Just something else. You can get a BlackBerry with BB10, or you can get one with Android on it. I mean,
And that comes down to the whole issue of how are they going to do it, right? Like the whole slider is with the dual curved screen apparently so that obviously plays into either a Samsung more than likely with their S6 Edge or even LG throwing it out there because they do curved screens as well. So you got those two manufacturers with curved screens. Could they be working with BlackBerry as well, right? Like it's not just Samsung. Yeah, sure, they have deals with Knox, but LG also deals in curved screens. And I'm sure that players, and even like Sony, they've had problems in the past that they could probably use BlackBerry security again. And it's just like, why would not one of these other players that are smaller than Samsung try and take a bite out of Android by teaming up with BlackBerry? Almost like in a sense, like we just saw the whole T-Mobile thing come down with John Legere or whatever doing his whole rant about Spectrum.
Yeah, that was awesome, actually. I really enjoyed it. I wanted to put a pie in his face for over a year, and today I watched that and I went, you know what? Maybe just half a pie, because that was pretty cool.
But it's just like BlackBerry, and he's teaming back up with BlackBerry with the whole release of the Classic, and it's like, well, it's little guys starting to team up to fight together, so what's to say it's not a little Android player trying to team up? Because personally, if I saw anyone, I would love to see a Sony and BlackBerry combination, because Sony makes some damn nice hardware, and you put that in with the camera, along with the BlackBerry OS running on top of, or even the Android BlackBerry OS running on top of that, you could have a really solid phone that makes a run for the money in the market.
Yeah,
but that's what I mean. Back to my original point, right? There's a lot of manufacturers out there that make some good and very nice hardware.
Right. Wow. There it is.
And they haven't been able to Android giant Samsung. Like you said, there's some other deals on the side with a couple of manufacturers. Who knows? I don't know what it's going to shape out to be, but how is it going to be different? I guess. But obviously, I'm not in a position to have done market research and focus groups and whatever they've probably done to this point where they're going to make this decision one way or the other. Yeah. So, judging from what I've seen so far in the Android market, something is going to have to be quite different for it to not work out the same way that it has for the HTCs and the Sonys of the world.
No, I get that, Ray, totally. And what do people think about the very fuzzy pictures that we got showing the slider, which looks quite like it was built by Samsung? Thank you very much. And the fuzzy long-distance screenshots kind of looked like BB10 icons, and so what does that tell you? Is there a partnership here? Could there be Samsung hardware running BB10, or is BB10 running on top of something else? What's up with that? I just got a message from a buddy of mine named Peach, who's obviously watching. How you doing, Peach? And he says the Android rumor is real and being considered. I don't know where he gets that information from. And he says Samsung is part of it, and obviously I agree with the guy. Absolutely, Samsung is part of it. When you look at that slider, it looks very much like it was built by Samsung. What do you think?
Well, now there's 5 sources.
There you go.
Well, I mean, as regarding the slider, from what I've heard and been told, even in a private group, somebody had mentioned that the people who have actually been able to hold it are done under a watchful eye, because what they are not allowed to look at is the settings for some reason. And then from another person who is actually very trustworthy, the people who are actually working on the slider are not allowed to walk on and about with the device itself. I mean, they don't want anybody seeing it. And as far as the screen and the display, there's a reason for the curves. I mean, BlackBerry plans on doing something like that.
Well, we all know that we all know that Chen is down on leaks, and there's a bit of a divisive attitude about that. Are the leaks that he's down about hardware-based? Excuse me. Are they generalized? In other words, software as well. I tend to think that it's more generalized, but I think if I could put myself in Chen's shoes, then right now I'd be more worried about hardware, because I kind of think that what he's about to unleash is larger than the next software load, and I think that's what he's worried about.
Hey, Dave, can
Yo.
he grab me a soda back there?
Oh yeah. Meatball, you're on TV.
But we'll go back to this Samsung partnership. Now, everyone knows that Samsung is working on Tizen OS, so what if it has something to do with Tizen OS and BlackBerry 10? Not
I
so
don't
much
know. I
Android,
think he's just
but
teasing about that. That's a joke, sort of.
But like we all know, Samsung's been trying to amass their own app store as well, at that sense, right? So they're trying to pull an Amazon on Google.
Sure.
And that's what they tried to build with Tizen, even though it's kind of a failure and a flop. But
Yeah.
they put Knox into Tizen, and so if BlackBerry 10 and Tizen teamed up, because we all know that Knox is also run by ex-BlackBerry employees, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And what would you do, Chris, if you had your choice and you'd spent a couple of years or whatever it is thinking about and creating Tizen? You got to respect that. There's a bunch of people with that as an agenda, different operating systems. But when you actually put it out in your first handset or second handset, and you kind of realize that it was way too much of a way too much of a thing to keep going, and then you looked at your brothers doing the same things, like BlackBerry with BlackBerry 10 and the Firefox OS and what else? Ubuntu, Migo, and Sailfish and whatnot, and you go, hey, look, these guys already have an app store. It is respected. It's already in the enterprise, which is ridiculously important, and obviously Chen knows that. Why would you pursue that as like a baby trying to break in and be the fifth player with almost nothing, instead of knocking on somebody's door and saying, hey, John, Chen, dude, what can we do where's our synergy here? How could we help each other?
Yeah,
I don't think that Tizen by itself could possibly rule the world.
No, no, not a chance. But again, that's what I'm saying. It's like maybe Samsung doesn't want to use their Android leverage to team up with BlackBerry, but rather their Tizen leverage and try and get Tizen out there. What if BlackBerry 10 is just a layer, a skin over top of Tizen OS, and that goes back to why someone can't look at the settings of the app, those people that have physically seen the device. They don't want you seeing that.
That's a fair. Yeah,
but wouldn't it be the other way around?
Yeah, why would you run BlackBerry 10 on top of Tizen?
Yeah, it would be more the other way around, because when you would run the Android, you would run Tizen on top of QNX.
Well, you can run that, but you can still put the BlackBerry 10 skin on top of something, right? Like you can have the Tizen OS run on top and then skin it to look like BlackBerry 10. You can do lots of different things with customization, because you guys still remember that Tizen is based off the Android open source project. So therefore, skinning is just something that's a quick snap of the fingers, and there you go, you got skin all over it.
Yeah,
Chris.
That's definitely a possibility. The one thing that makes me wonder, though, is when Chen was talking about it, it was that the question was posed to him about apps, and he said there's something in the works beyond Amazon. Exactly. Now, Tizen,
and what does that say to you immediately, Ray? What does it say to everybody right off the bat?
That's one of two things. Either there's some sort of deal with Google, which, unless Google is willing to change the rules of the OHA, I don't know. That's one way, or the other is Android. See, that's kind of where
So
I'm at right now.
there's a great option though. Just like Microsoft just did with Windows 10, they opened it up and managed to get iOS developers across. Again, I'll use their Candy Crush, right?
Yeah,
Candy
yeah.
Crush was on Windows 8.1 phone without even people knowing it was an iOS app. So that just proves that maybe BlackBerry managed to do what Windows did and built a better development environment for devs to cross-platform. Maybe
That's
it actually
awesome.
might work this time.
Yeah, the way I see it, I'm going back. Sorry, people, to the hypervisor, because the way of the world. Hey, this is the person that draws our draws our winners. Way to go, Sophia. How you doing? I want to go back to the hypervisor deal. Because it's the way of the world. Virtualization is the way of the world. Cloud virtualization saves on hardware and whatnot, and I just get the humble feeling, and I can't think anymore because she's too cute. I just get the feeling that we're going to be emulating something as opposed to replacing something.
Yeah, I got nothing to say against that. I mean, I definitely agree. QNX has all the power in the world to do that, so it's one of the great things about it when you're running the hypervisor and being a microkernel, you can practically do anything.
Yeah, and let's face it, show me another handset that boots, has a secure boot.
Yeah.
Show me another handset that can't be rooted or hacked, jailbroken, whatever you want, and tell me that that's not important moving forward from a security perspective. Hey, whether you're an enterprise, the government, or a person, a consumer play, why would you not want that? And so to completely replace your operating system and call it a BlackBerry makes no sense to me. It's not as secure.
I don't see that happening. They've made it very clear that there's more in store for BlackBerry. But
right.
I could see a variant coming out. Just seeing, it could be a test for them. It could be a reason. Could be something in order to get that special thing that Chen has been hinting at.
Yeah.
Josh, what's your feeling on this?
Yeah, Josh, say something tonight.
Well, I don't see the point of anything short of getting every single Android in the Play Store to work on the phone. Anything short of that doesn't make anybody happy.
No, I know. And Josh, I think you're right. And I think that if you move forward in the emulation world and virtualization world, then all you're doing is running that exact platform properly, either as a dual boot or as another program. And it's got no problems really being part of the OHA if it is into itself an actual Android handset. It's completely possible.
Yeah, and keep all the security that Chen is yapping about all the time with the QNX running on there.
In a sandbox.
Yeah, it just has to be perfect Play Store compatible so that every average consumer is thinking they're running an Android phone and they don't know the difference and everything works. And all of the lighting things and people's little gadgets to unlock their doors and all those secondary apps that a lot of people don't talk about but a lot of people are using, not just the big name things. So anything short of that's useless in my view. So I agree with Dave, like the way he's talking about it. I think all that other stuff just doesn't really cut any mustard to me.
Well, if something else happens, I won't be shocked, but I think if something else happens, it's a stepping stone. If I was driving it, I definitely, if that was what was going to take to further the company, because I think it's been already fixed, then I would use that as a stepping stone. And it might take a couple of revisions to turn it into, this vision, but if that's what it takes, I think Chen's going to do it.
There's the other thing. We heard
it'll be an OHA.
Have we heard Chen's idea on the full-blown Internet of Things yet that BlackBerry has a plan for? I don't think we've actually had a full-out word of what they actually are trying to do with Internet of Things other than they're working on it.
Yeah, it's a
Well,
pretty vague picture, I think, so far.
yeah. The gentleman that left, damn, now his name escapes me, but he was a really good guy, and he took care of the developers for BB10 upon inception. I'll think of his name in a minute, but he moved on to Unix to sort of spearhead that before he left.
Sanders.
Sorry?
Sanders.
Saunders. Alex
Alex
Saunders.
Saunders. Yeah, nice guy. And he did a pretty good rollout for IoT in explaining it, and I really think that what he was saying was that for BlackBerry, they want to be sort of the conduit, how things talk to each other, and they have, and they have always had a worldwide network to be able to transmit all of these packets, which is, in the vision, it's billions of packets. It's so much more data than BlackBerry's ever had to transport before, because in the biz world, that's small potatoes. All of that stuff was compressed, and there wasn't necessarily an awful lot of it. But now, when you talk in IoT, everything, your freaking thermostat, your car, your name it, anything that has an IP address is capable of being part of the Internet of Things. And what people really want out of this, and I'm talking about companies, is analytics. So that's where I think BlackBerry's play is secure analytics for companies to be able to view and manage their portion of the Internet of Things. So I'm Ford, and I've got Unix embedded in there, and now I want to see how I'm doing as far as where the upgrades are with my new Sync 3 apps and whatnot, and what version the car is actually running on. It's the analytics, and not necessarily just the transport. BlackBerry's got the transport, although I think it needs a huge beef up. It's still worldwide. They already have that structure, and it's already ridiculously secure. But it's the analytics that people want to buy, I think.
They bought that company that was big into analytics.
What's the name of that? Do you remember, Josh?
No, it's like 2.5 years ago now.
Smart, though.
Yeah. They were a pretty good sized company, I think, at the time.
Well, the other thing too is that I know we all just heard HomeKit got finally rolled out for iOS, but the way they rolled it out is through the iCloud, and it's like, how many times have your iCloud system been hacked already? Not to mention the new thing
It's like, what's next?
and then the new system that just got released from that hacker that said he released it back on 8.1.2, but still hasn't been fixed with the iOS mail app hack. It's like, could you imagine that? Like, someone is all connected to HomeKit with their thermostat, and if this Nest Cam is true for the new Google Nest Cam, and your Nest smoke alarm, and your Bluetooth doors, and everything all connected through HomeKit, and then all of a sudden you get this email, you're like, oh, whatever, I'm going to enter my passwords, and bam, your whole house just became control of a hacker. And it's just like...
That's scary.
Scare me.
Yeah, that's spooky. That's...
Well, it's the risks. It's the risks that we run by connecting all of our, toys for our convenience. It's the risk that we run. And
the thermostat part, though, would open it up for some nice practical jokes on your friends, though.
Yeah, you can turn it down to 32 and text the guy and say, "Cool."
Or go over there and start breathing, really make it cold enough that you're breathing out, and you can see your air and be like, oh man, this place is like haunted or possessed or something.
Yeah.
Or you can turn the thermostat up at your ex's, and then text her and say she's hot. Whatever.
Whew. Well, now what else do we have on the agenda? I got 11:30 on my scale. I don't know about you guys.
Where are you right now, Chris?
I am Eastern time. I'm just about 2 or 3 hours east of Toronto.
Did you move there? Are you still in Winnipeg, or?
No, I'm in Kingston now. I switched from Army to Air Force, and I'm doing all my training out here.
Oh, cool.
They can switch just like that?
Was that?
What's that?
You can switch just like that from Army to Air Force?
Pretty much, yeah. It only took about a year's worth of paperwork and waiting.
Wow.
It wasn't too bad.
So, have you jumped out of one yet?
No, I'm doing aerospace telecommunications and information system technician. In other words, a fancy word for computer tech.
There you go.
No,
Yeah.
right. It'll be the main role of ATIS techs are pretty much computer maintenance and software maintenance within the D&D enterprise, along with radars as well. So anything to do with radars, communicating to aircraft and stuff like that, I'll be in charge of maintaining that.
Cool.
No, that's awesome. I mean, I guess it's getting pretty late for you too, Robert. Hey, I mean, for an inaugural get-together, it wasn't too bad, I guess. We kind of threw this thing together like this afternoon, so.
Yeah, it's
Literally.
been about an hour and a half, hasn't it? Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gone probably about 3 times longer than we planned on.
Yeah.
Flurry
That's
analytics.
okay.
Blurry analytics.
There you go.
That's what Josh was doing for the last 5 minutes, Googling.
What he's been doing for the last hour and a half.
Yeah.
I think he's been doing that for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
Well, should we call it before we bore everybody?
Yeah, might as well save a couple subjects for next time, huh?
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Hey, thanks,
Yeah,
Chris.
no, thank you for
Keep
coming
contact.
Right on, Chris. Good to see you, bud.
Yeah, I'll be around the CB forums.
All right.
Pop up at the UTB.
There are some other forums,
When I decide to make an account.
Yeah, you don't have the power to boot us anymore, so.
Exactly.
All right, well, guys.
All right, guys, we're calling it.
All right.
Okay.
Have a good one, gents. See you later.
Later.
Next time.
Next time.